Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before we dive in, take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe. What I'm about to reveal today isn't something most men ever notice, and it can completely change the way you understand women. You might think you already know when a woman likes you, but what I'm about to share goes far deeper than obvious signals. It's subtle, it's hidden, and 99% of guys completely miss it. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been talking to a woman, feeling that spark, yet something inside tells you, she's interested but I'm not sure? That uncertainty? That's exactly where most men fail. They rely on the loud, obvious signs, flirting, compliments, or physical touch. But women don't always communicate with words or gestures that are easy to read. They communicate with energy, attention, and a kind of quiet permission that only the observant can see. Here's the truth. Women are constantly testing men, not in a cruel way, not like a game, but to measure confidence, awareness, and emotional intelligence. When she's drawn to you, it's not just about attraction, it's about safety, curiosity, and emotional resonance. You might notice her eyes linger on you just a fraction longer than normal, or she mirrors your body language without realizing it. These small things seem insignificant, but they are windows into her desire. Most guys shrug them off as coincidence. Don't be most guys. Another thing most men miss is the way she engages with your presence. When she wants you, she doesn't just talk, she listens like she's absorbing everything about you. She remembers details that don't matter to anyone else. A name you mention in passing, a story you barely tell, she stores it. And this is huge because women don't just give their attention lightly. Attention is currency, and when she invests it in you, it means she's curious, interested, and emotionally present in a way that's hard to fake. And here's the kicker. You can't fake this awareness. Women can feel when a man notices the subtle, almost invisible signals she's sending. It's primal, it's intimate. If you learn to recognize these signals, you instantly move out of the friend zone of uncertainty into a space of attraction she's already ready to explore. That's why most men never notice. They're too busy looking for the obvious. Today, we're going to break down every single signal women give when they want you, and I promise, once you start seeing these signs, your dating life will never feel uncertain again. It's not manipulation, it's awareness, and awareness is power. Now let's go deeper, because most men completely misread what women are actually saying. The truth is, when a woman wants you, she rarely says it outright. Words are too risky for her. They carry judgment, expectations, and vulnerability. Instead, she communicates through consistency in her attention, through small, almost imperceptible actions that reveal curiosity, comfort, and desire. You might notice her initiating conversations more than usual, not just texting, but really reaching out, asking questions, following up on things you've mentioned before. That's not casual interest. That's a signal that you occupy space in her mind. Watch her laughter. Not the polite occasional laugh that happens in normal conversation, but the spontaneous, genuine laugh that lingers in her eyes, touches her whole face. When she laughs like this around you, it's more than amusement. It's a release of comfort, a subconscious invitation, and a signal of emotional alignment. Most men dismiss it as just friendliness, but this is a subtle but undeniable clue that she's drawn to you. Pay attention to physical proximity, but not in the obvious touching your arm way. Women signal interest by creating micro-boundaries and testing them, leaning in slightly, angling her body toward you, or staying in your personal space longer than she does with others. This isn't aggression, it's invitation. And again, most guys miss it because they expect bold moves or explicit gestures. Women don't need to cross that line. They just want to see if you notice, if you understand the silent language. The next thing most men overlook is eye contact. I'm not talking about the quick glance or polite acknowledgement. I'm talking about deep, consistent eye contact, the kind that holds just a moment longer than normal. That gaze is a window to her subconscious interest, a way for her to communicate curiosity and attraction without saying a word. And here's the psychological truth. When she holds your gaze and smiles subtly, she's letting you know she's imagining what it might be like to be closer to you, emotionally, mentally, and yes, physically. Finally, notice the way she mirrors your energy. If you're calm, she becomes calm. If you're playful, she matches your playfulness. This mirroring is subconscious. It's a reflection of compatibility, comfort, and desire. Most men never pick up on it because they're too focused on verbal cues, but this is one of the strongest signs that she's drawn to you. She's already creating a rhythm with you before you even realize it. Understanding these subtle behaviors changes everything. When you see them, you stop guessing, you stop overthinking, and you start responding in ways that naturally deepen attraction. Now let's talk about the moments most men completely miss. The pauses, the hesitations, the little gaps in conversation that reveal more than words ever could. When a woman wants you, she's not just thinking about what she says, she's thinking about how you perceive her. You'll notice subtle shifts in tone, slight softening of her voice when she's around you, or moments where she seems almost reflective, like she's considering how to connect with you without revealing too much too soon. That hesitation, that's curiosity, that's desire. That's a signal that she's invested emotionally in your interaction, even if she isn't overtly showing it. Another layer most men overlook is how she reacts to your presence when others are around. Women often test attraction in group settings, watching how you behave socially, observing how you interact with others, and subtly giving you attention in ways that set you apart from the crowd. If she seeks you out in a room full of people, if her eyes find yours first, if she positions herself near you, she's giving you an unspoken message. You're the one she's noticing, the one she's curious about, the one who matters more than anyone else in that moment. Most men misread this as coincidence or friendliness. That's why so many opportunities slip away. You also need to pay attention to the energy she invests in you outside of direct interaction. Does she remember small details about your life? Does she reference things you've shared in passing? That's not casual memory. That's investment. Women don't subconsciously store information about men they're not interested in. Every time she brings up a story or detail, she's signaling that she's mentally and emotionally engaged with you. That's massive because it's subtle, invisible to most men, but it's a powerful magnet. The final thing to notice is the way she touches her own body in your presence. It's not overt flirtation, it's unconscious. Brushing her hair from her face, adjusting her clothes, playing with a necklace, these are all ways her body is communicating attraction before her mind even acknowledges it. These micro movements are her way of preparing herself for interaction, and they're almost always missed by men who are looking for bold gestures. When you start noticing these signals, you step out of the blind zone most men live in. You begin to see attraction for what it really is: subtle, emotional, and psychologically precise. You realize that women speak in whispers, not shouts, and those who listen carefully gain access to a world most men never even notice exists. That awareness puts you in a completely different league. Now let's dive into the emotional layer most men completely miss, because women don't just signal attraction through actions, they signal it through feelings. And if you don't understand this, you're blind to the signs that she wants you. When a woman is drawn to you, her emotional state subtly shifts around you. You might notice moments where she seems lighter, more playful, almost glowing in your presence. That's not coincidence. That's her emotional system responding to yours, creating a bridge of comfort and curiosity. Men often dismiss this as friendliness, but it's actually one of the strongest indicators of desire. Another critical signal is vulnerability, not full-blown. Let me tell you my deepest secrets, vulnerability, but micro-vulnerability. A laugh that slips into a sigh, a glance that betrays thoughtfulness, sharing a minor insecurity or personal story. She's testing your receptivity, her comfort level with you, and most men misread these moments as casual sharing. They're not casual. They're invitations to be present, attentive, and emotionally responsive. Respond correctly and she'll open further. Respond incorrectly and the door quietly closes. Notice how she reacts to your energy. Women are subconsciously wired to mirror and amplify emotions in men they're drawn to. If you're calm and confident, she relaxes. If you're playful, she smiles and teases. If you're serious, she engages in deeper reflection. That's not random. It's chemistry meeting psychology. She's creating an invisible connection, a rhythm of emotional alignment, and 99% of men are too distracted or unobservant to notice it. Also pay attention to how she communicates when she's busy or distracted. Does she make small moments to reach out even briefly? Does she find ways to check in, to laugh at something you said earlier, or to acknowledge you in ways others wouldn't? That's her saying, without words, "You matter to me." This isn't a casual gesture. It's a psychological breadcrumb trail that signals interest. Most men, again, overlook it because they're waiting for big, dramatic gestures. Finally, the way she shares her attention in conversation is revealing. She asks questions, she follows threads you introduce, she shows curiosity about your thoughts, opinions, and emotions. This is not generic friendliness. This is emotional investment. Women are wired to conserve attention for those they're drawn to, and when she chooses to give you hers, it's more powerful than any verbal confession. Recognizing and responding to this opens doors that most men never even realize exist. Once you understand the emotional signals she's sending, everything changes. You begin to see attraction not as an event, but as a series of layered, subtle, deeply psychological cues. And once you can interpret them correctly, you step into a space of clarity, confidence, and power that very few men ever experience. Now let's focus on body language, because this is where most men completely fail. Words can be deceptive, but the body rarely lies. When a woman wants you, she communicates through micro movements and subtle postures that almost no man notices. Watch how she positions herself around you. Does she angle her body toward you even slightly when she's standing or sitting? Does she lean in when you speak, just enough that it feels natural but intentional? That's her signaling comfort, curiosity, and attraction without ever saying a word. Notice her hands. How she uses them, even in small gestures, can reveal interest. Touching her hair, lightly brushing her neck, or adjusting her clothing unconsciously are not just nervous habits. They're subtle ways of drawing attention to herself for you. The psychology behind it is simple. She's preparing her presence, creating energy, and seeing if you notice. Most men never see it because they're focused on the obvious signs, missing the language that's happening all around them. Her feet and legs can be just as revealing. If her legs are oriented toward you while talking, or if she subtly shifts to face you in a group, it's a sign of attention and interest. Women unconsciously direct their energy toward men they're drawn to, and the body follows before the mind even acknowledges it. This is primal psychology at work. Most men think a smile or laugh is enough to measure attraction, but it's the body that tells the real story. Eye contact is another signal layered with meaning. Not the brief acknowledgement or polite glance. True interest comes through the subtle, lingering gaze. She holds your eyes just long enough to signal curiosity, comfort, and emotional resonance. Combine that with small smiles, micro-expressions, or a slight raising of her eyebrows, and she's effectively communicating desire without ever needing to speak it aloud. Even her voice is a tool. Listen to tone, rhythm, and pitch. Women unconsciously soften their voice or speak slightly slower when they're comfortable and emotionally engaged with someone. The smallest shifts in tone can reveal emotional investment, a desire to connect, and a subtle invitation for you to step closer psychologically. When you learn to read these microsignals, everything changes. You stop guessing, stop relying on obvious gestures, and start noticing patterns that 99% of men completely miss. Awareness of body language isn't manipulation, it's insight. It allows you to move confidently in interactions, respond appropriately, and recognize attraction before it's ever explicitly stated. This is the difference between being another guy she smiles at politely and being the man she actually wants. Now let's talk about conversation, because this is where attraction really reveals itself, and most men completely misread it. When a woman wants you, the way she speaks isn't random. Every question she asks, every story she shares, and even the pauses she allows are carefully, subconsciously designed to gauge your response and see if she feels safe opening up. Pay attention to how often she asks about your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions. These are not idle questions. They are signals that she's invested emotionally and mentally. Notice how she responds to humor. If she laughs with timing that mirrors your own or playfully teases you, she's signaling comfort and connection. Humor is more than entertainment. It's a bridge. By laughing at your jokes, she's subconsciously creating alignment between your energy and hers. Most men misread this as casual friendliness, but in reality, she's inviting you into a shared emotional space where attraction grows naturally. Another key indicator is follow-up. When she remembers details from your previous conversations, small things you barely mentioned, she's sending a quiet but powerful message. You matter, and she's thinking about you outside of your interactions. Women don't invest attention lightly. If she's remembering what you say, referencing it, or following up on it later, that's one of the clearest signs she's drawn to you. Also, notice her storytelling. Women reveal a lot about themselves when they feel safe and curious about someone. Does she share personal anecdotes, moments of vulnerability, or little observations that show her inner world? If she's opening herself up like this, it's a psychological signal. She trusts you enough to reveal layers that most men never get to see. That trust is attraction in its rawest form. Even the timing of her messages or responses matters. If she finds moments to connect with you, even when busy, or brings up things from past conversations, she's signaling priority. She's communicating interest without saying it directly. Most men wait for grand gestures or declarations, missing the quiet but consistent signals she's sending every day. Finally, pay attention to her curiosity about your life and experiences. She asks questions not for casual conversation, but to understand your perspective, your values, your energy. Curiosity is an emotional magnet. When she demonstrates this level of interest, it's not casual, it's psychological. Once you begin seeing these conversational cues, you start noticing a pattern. Women communicate attraction through attention, emotional investment, and subtle engagement. Recognizing this allows you to respond in a way that deepens attraction, creating connection where most men only see coincidence or friendliness. Now we get to one of the most overlooked truths about female attraction: tests. Yes, tests. And before you panic, let me clarify. These aren't cruel traps. They're subtle, psychological ways women measure confidence, awareness, and emotional presence. When a woman wants you, she's often assessing how you respond to uncertainty, playfulness, or minor challenges. Most men fail here because they take these moments personally or overanalyze them. But if you understand what's happening, these tests become opportunities to deepen attraction. One of the most common tests is teasing. She might lightly joke at your expense or challenge your opinion. If she's interested, it's never mean-spirited. It's playful, curious, and inviting. The goal isn't to embarrass you, it's to gauge how you handle subtle pressure, how you navigate social energy, and whether you can respond with confidence and wit. Most men react defensively or overthink, which breaks the flow, but a calm, playful response signals that you're comfortable in your own skin, a quality that women are naturally drawn to. Another test is unpredictability. She might cancel plans at the last minute, respond slowly, or act slightly aloof. To an untrained eye, this feels frustrating, confusing, even discouraging, but in reality, it's a soft test of emotional resilience. She's checking whether you remain composed, whether you can handle her autonomy, and whether your interest is steady without being needy. Passing this test isn't about persuasion, it's about embodying calm confidence, emotional intelligence, and self-assuredness. Women also test through vulnerability. She might share a small insecurity or a moment of personal reflection. If she's interested, this is an invitation to connect on a deeper level, to show understanding, empathy, and attentiveness. Most men either dismiss it or respond superficially, but if you engage with authenticity, you're signaling emotional compatibility, and she'll naturally become more open. Lastly, she tests through attention. She might subtly see if you notice small details or microsignals we discussed earlier: the glance, the laugh, the energy shift. Most men miss it entirely, but when you catch it, acknowledge it, and respond thoughtfully, you're not just passing her test, you're stepping into the arena of attraction she's already prepared for. Understanding these tests changes everything. They're not obstacles, they're invitations. Every playful tease, every subtle challenge, every moment of unpredictability is her way of letting you know she's interested, if you're perceptive enough to see it. Recognize these moments, respond with confidence, and you immediately elevate your presence in her eyes from just another guy to someone she's genuinely drawn to. Now, let's bring it all together, because this is where clarity hits. When a woman wants you, Every layer we've discussed, the attention, the micro signals, the body language, the conversational cues, even the subtle tests, adds up to one undeniable truth. She's giving you permission to move closer, emotionally and psychologically. This isn't about manipulation or guessing games, it's about awareness. When you start recognizing these signs consistently, you stop questioning her interest and you step into confidence that most men never experience. One of the strongest indicators is consistency. Women who are genuinely drawn to you will find ways to stay engaged, even subtly. She remembers what you say, mirrors your energy, and invests attention in ways that feel almost unconscious. That consistency is a signal louder than words, a quiet confirmation that she wants connection. Most men miss it because they look for the obvious, but the truth is, attraction lives in the subtleties. Another confirmation comes from her responsiveness to your presence. Does she lean in, make eye contact that lingers, or reflect your mood? Does she subtly test your energy through playful teasing, slight challenges, or curiosity-driven questions? These aren't random behaviors, they're invitations. They tell you she wants to feel aligned with you, to explore the connection, and to see how you respond when attention and attraction are in play. The final layer is emotional resonance. When she feels comfortable and alive around you, when her energy shifts in your presence, and she engages with your stories, ideas, and humor, she's signaling desire on a deep, almost instinctive level. Women don't give this level of emotional investment lightly. If she's doing this consistently, it's your green light. She's letting you know she wants you without needing to say it explicitly. Here's the truth most men never grasp. Women speak in whispers, in microsignals, in emotional resonance and subtle energy. They don't always say, "I like you," outright, but if you can read the signs, respond with calm confidence, and mirror her energy, you step into a space where attraction flows naturally. You move from uncertainty to clarity. You move from guessing to knowing. The moment you understand this, everything changes. You stop overthinking, you stop chasing, and you start seeing her signals for what they really are: psychological invitations to connection. And when you act from that awareness, your presence becomes magnetic. You become the man she actually wants, the one 99% of guys never even realize exists. That's the power of noticing, the power of perception, and the power of understanding what women are really telling you without ever saying it.